Iran and the United States are all set to return to the negotiating table this Friday in Oman, and this is coming amidst the latest military escalation and the last-minute maneuvering over whether or not the talks would happen at all in the first place. What with both sides being at odds with their demands, will the talks yield any results? The American side, led by Donald Trump, he wants two things at the same time. One, he's amping up the military pressure and is threatening a strike in order to change the regime. At the same time, he also wants Iran to come back to the negotiating table and give up its uranium enrichment, give up its nuclear program. The big question is, will America and Iran, talking for the first time since June of last year, the June escalation that happened when America bombed the three biggest nuclear enrichment sites in Iran, this is the first time they'll be talking. They'll be meeting in Oman on Friday. Will the talks ease these tensions? Will it potentially stop what could be, and what many are saying, could be the brink of war in the Middle East? Iran and the United States will meet for a new round of negotiations on Friday in Oman. This was confirmed by Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and the White House after days of conflicting reports about when, where, and whether the talks will happen at all in the first place. Araghchi and his team were expected to hold a face-to-face meeting with Steve Witkoff, President Donald Trump's special envoy, and Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law. Oman's foreign minister, who is the host, is also expected to be present. The White House on Wednesday confirmed that the meeting would take place in Oman with Witkoff and Kushner, along with Abbas Araghchi, the Iranian foreign minister. Mr. Araghchi announced on social media that the talks would take place in the Omani capital, Muscat. That meeting on Friday would be the first time that Tehran and Washington have held face-to-face talks since the 12-day war back in June. That war culminated in American B-2 fighter jets bombing and severely damaging three of Iran's main nuclear facilities. Although the two sides have not met since June, Araghchi and Witkoff have been in direct contact by text messages, according to both Iranian as well as American officials.
On Iran, are the negotiations still happening this week?
Yeah.
Where will they be? And what do you need to hear from Iran?
They're all over. But they are negotiating. They'd like to do something, and we'll see if something is going to be done. They had a chance to do something a while ago, and it didn't work out, and we did Midnight Hammer. I don't think they want that happening again, but they would like to negotiate. We are negotiating with them right now, yes.
For the past week, regional countries have been mediating between Iran and the United States to avert a war. They've been telling both sides that another conflict could spread and it could destabilize the entire Middle East. Trump has threatened Iran with a massive armada after moving a number of warships close to the Gulf. He's also vowed to carry out military strikes against Iran with speed and violence. America's demands include Iran has to freeze its nuclear program, it has to discard its stockpile of enriched uranium, it has to reduce the range of its ballistic missiles and stop arming and funding terrorist proxies in the region. Iran has said that caving in to Trump's demands would amount to surrender, and it has threatened to respond forcefully to any American attack by targeting American military bases in the region. The threat of military strikes came up after a nationwide uprising in Iran back in January, with protesters demanding the end of the Islamic rule of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Iran crushed the protests with lethal force. According to human rights activists, the news agency that's based in Washington, at least 6,000 people were killed by the Iranian regime.
بعد از شکست در این توطئه اخیر حالا اونها هستن که مجدد حرف از دیپلماسی میزنن و ما هم همیشه آماده دیپلماسی بودیم به شرط آنکه از موضع برابر باشه، به شرط آنکه با احترام متقابل باشه و برای تأمین منافع متقابل. با مردم ایران باید با احترام حرف زد. هر که با احترام حرف بزنه با احترام هم جواب میگیره و هر که با تهدید و زور حرف بزنه با همان زبان پاسخ میگیره. ما آماده دیپلماسی هستیم ولی باید بدانند که دیپلماسی با تهدید، با ارعاب، با فشار همخوانی نداره. دیپلماسی مرام خودش رو داره.
For the past few days, details about the talks have gone back and forth. Talks were first scheduled to be held Friday in the Turkish city of Istanbul, given Turkey's role as a mediator. Foreign ministers from regional Arab countries including Egypt, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and Turkey were also invited to participate in these talks, but Iran blinked. On Tuesday, Tehran requested a last-minute change of both venue and format. It asked that the meeting be held in Oman and also to limit the participation just to Iranian and American representatives only. Iran's senior leadership was concerned that a meeting with wider participation might make it seem that Trump was putting on a show and that Iran was being cornered into negotiating with the entire region, not just with Washington. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed that Iran had asked for a change of the meeting venue and the format. He also said that in order the talks to be meaningful, discussions would have to include both Iran's nuclear program, its range of ballistic missiles, and also its support for regional terror proxies.
We thought we had an established forum that had been agreed to. In Turkey, it was put together by a number of partners who wanted to attend and be a part of it. I saw conflicting reports yesterday from the Iranian side saying that they had not agreed to that. At the end of the day, the United States is prepared to engage and has always been prepared to engage with Iran. As far as the topic of those discussions and what the agenda needs to be, look, I think in order for talks to actually lead to something meaningful, they will have to include certain things. And that includes the range of their ballistic missiles. That includes their sponsorship of terrorist organizations across the region. That includes the nuclear program, and that includes the treatment of their own people.
The planned talks almost collapsed Wednesday morning when Arakchi informed his Arab counterparts that if the United States insisted on broadening the discussion beyond Iran's nuclear program, then the talks would be called off. So as news of Iran's stand emerged, the country's currency, the rial, took a nosedive against the American dollar. Arab countries in the region mobilized and persuaded both sides to hold the meeting in Oman on Friday and not to lose the momentum of talks. Then the talks were back on again, with Arakchi saying that he was grateful for our Omani brothers for making all the necessary arrangements. And so Iran was walking a fine line between maintaining control over these talks and not alienating its Arab allies. The United States agreed that the talks would be held in Oman. It would exclude all the other regional actors, from Egypt to Qatar to Turkey. Iranian officials also agreed to go face-to-face with their American counterparts. Both sides have agreed to focus on the nuclear program, but also to discuss missiles and terror groups, and the goal is to come up with a framework of a deal within the next few days.